All right, welcome everybody. We are back. It is episode number 14. We are 2 touchdowns deep into this podcast. I am joined, as always, by my good friends Aaron Simmons and Zachary Brandevold to talk about all the exciting action, not just from NASCAR, but from F1 and Indy as well. So, Zach, the hardworking man, got a big important job now, but he still makes time for his friends in the podcast. How are you this evening?
Always. I'm wonderful. Thank you guys for having me today. Just started my new job on Monday, so I got the bright and early 6 o'clock wake up time. I'm loving it, and I'm excited to learn more. But I'm even more excited to be hanging out with you guys tonight, talking some racing.
Cool. Glad to have you. And, hey, when you're the top dog at whatever you're doing, remember your friends, all right?
I will always.
We're going to be able to say we knew him before he was the top dog. Aaron Simmons, the man who is working on a master's degree right now. Am I correct?
Yes, sir.
Man, the people I'm going to be able to say that I knew before they were famous. How are you this evening, Aaron? How is life in East Tennessee?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I'm going to be a teacher, so I'll probably not be famous in any regard. But so far, life's doing pretty good. Just got back from a mini vacation a few days ago. Had a wonderful time, and glad to be home. Kind of, sort of, yeah. Well, it's just still there, but hey, I'm glad to be back. I'm glad to be back on the podcast, and I'm ready to get this. I'm ready to get this show on the road.
You know what? I'm going to call you a partial liar. Glad to be on the podcast. I'll agree with. Glad to be home from vacation. I don't know if I'm buying that one. I am not sure I am buying that one. But
yeah, I'm not buying myself, so don't worry. I feel you there.
Okay. All right. So we are going to stick with you. I'm sure there will be no lies when you tell us all about the Xfinity race this weekend. So tell us about the Xfinity race in Richmond. Give us a review.
All righty. The Xfinity race at Richmond got to a very somber note. Of course, it was on 9/11. Pretty much one of the worst days in American history. And really started off with a very, of course, a somber remembrance of those who have fallen on that fateful day 20 years ago. God, that was 20 years ago. Gosh, to many of us, it is 20 years ago. But for a lot of others, that day, it was still yesterday, and I don't blame them for it. However, the race went off to a very usual start. Austin Cindric dominating stage one with the 20 of Harrison Burton right behind him. But then kind of towards the end of stage one, we saw kind of an unfamiliar face in the 44, leading a few laps in the end of stage one, but then getting overtaken by AJ Allmendinger to take that stage. But so a very impressive showing for him early on. Unfortunately, stage two, he's going to get turned around by, I can't remember what the car's number was, but unfortunately he got turned around. Would end up finishing 37th, involved in an accident, so very unfortunate for him. But then stage two, it was all the young gun, Ty Dillon. He pretty much dominated stage two, got that stage. Stage three, don't really remember all that well. But however, in the end, it would be Noah Gragson getting his second win in a row. Getting hot at the right time. But I do want to point out that I don't believe it's a coincidence that the top two finishers were the 9 and the 11 on 9/11.
Yeah, absolutely. Hard to buy that was a coincidence given the date and the significance of that date.
Yeah, I'm not buying a coincidence.
Yeah. And hey, I got to say, how about NASCAR and the tribute that they paid to 9/11? I was so impressed with it. Thought it was such a classy act. The way they covered it from a pre-race perspective, and they all took us back to what it was like then and what they were going through as their decision-making process, right up to they handed out American flags to everybody that was in the stands at Richmond. I really thought that they did a tremendous job with the 9/11 tribute. So I want to give a round of applause to NASCAR just for the job they did there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree.
NASCAR may be And NASCAR definitely has its dumb boat end decisions at times, but when the community and when the nation really needs them, they do step up to kind of take the mantle and letting the nation heal a little bit. And they certainly did pay homage to that this weekend.
Yeah. The two greatest moments to me this season away from racing have been, the 9/11 tributes that they just incorporated into the whole day, not just the Xfinity race, not the Cup race, but the whole day. And then when we had the Memorial Day race and they brought the cars to a stop and shut the engines off, I think at the end of stage 2, Mike Joy's speech as they were refiring the engines after that moment of silence was just tremendous. Those are two things that will stick with me. But I got to say, this Xfinity race, the absolute, to me, the dick move of the race, okay, that just irritated the crap out of me, okay. Tommy Joe Martins has never won a stage. His best stage finish was 5th. He took tires, took a chance that he wouldn't have them later in the race, had a chance to win the race, coming to the white flag, comes up on the lap car of David Starr, and David Starr absolutely runs him up the track and gives the stage win to Allmendinger. I hope that the tables are turned and somebody pays back David Starr. I thought that was a complete dick move, especially to a guy who has never won a stage, never even finished better than 5th. I thought that was a really low-class move out of David Starr to race him that way on stage 1 of all times. But that's my rant. I always have to have a rant for the week.
Absolutely. And honestly, if I were in that situation, I would just move his ass out of the way. It's like, nope, sorry, you're in my way. I'm trying to fight for a stage. Your ass is going in the wall.
I think if he had it to do over again, I bet you that's exactly what he would have done.
I bet you he would.
Because he literally lost that just by a couple of feet to AJ Allmendinger. Yeah.
Yeah, he absolutely did. It was basically like that Darlington finish.
Yeah.
At Richmond. That was pretty much what it was.
All right, let's talk about the Cup race. And there was all kinds of stuff to talk about in the Cup race. And the announcers did a great job of teeing this up. They said at the beginning of the race, it was Kyle Larson versus JGR. And at the beginning of the race, Kyle Larson had to start at the back. But at the end of stage 1, the top 5 are Kyle Larson and the 4 JGR cars. Hamlin wins stage 1, looked pretty dominant. Hamlin comes back and wins stage 2. So it's looking like he is set up to take the sweep here, okay? And then it seemed to me the dominant cars all night were the JGR cars, specifically Truex, Kyle Busch, and Denny Hamlin, who won the first 2 stages. But when it comes down to it, it is strategy and it is mistakes or errors. Kyle Busch probably had the fastest car in stage 3 and probably would have won if he didn't have a pit road penalty. And it was not a speeding penalty. It was a equipment interference penalty, I think, where a tire got away from his crew member. He still rebounded to get, I think, a 9th place finish because I think all the JGR cars were top 10. But he had, to me, a very dominant car. But I want to give a big shout out to, let me go to my notes here. James Small, Martin Truex's crew chief. He basically, to me, got that win because he made his final pit stop with 56 laps to go. Hamlin doesn't come in until 53. That 3-lap difference on new tires versus old went from about a 2-second gap when they were going into the pit road cycle to an 8-second gap when they were coming out. And that was more than enough for Martin Truex to protect an 8-second lead over the final 52 or 53 laps and grab the win. But great call by James Small. And I think it was a call that he learned from earlier because on the cycle before that, I think they were later than Hamlin in pitting and realized what a hard time they had running him down. So great call by James Small. And if you rewind, James Small is kind of proven to be a pretty savvy crew chief because at Darlington, they got a pit road penalty, got off cycle, and decided that if they're off cycle, then let's try to run this on one less pit stop than everybody, and had what could have potentially been a very bad day for Martin Truex wind up being a top 5 because they adjusted the pit cycle and pit strategy once they got off cycle. But overall, it was just a dominant performance by JGR. You wound up with the top 3 cars were JGR, should have probably been the top 4. Hats off to Truex. He advances to the next round. Great driving as well as great pit strategy. So that is my take on Richmond from the Cup perspective. Anything you guys want to add or talk about?
I mean, I was doing to say, it seems like Joe Gibbs has gotten hot at the right time. Because remember a few weeks ago, kind of like at Pocono and all those races kind of around there, we were saying Joe Gibbs is on the decline. We said that Joe Gibbs may not have the horsepower that Hendrick had. We were saying that they apparently have lost something and it's falling toward the back. Well, apparently they refound it again, and now they're starting to, and now they're pretty much equal to Hendrick Motorsports, if not already beating them.
Well, and this is 2 races in a row we've seen Gibbs be dominant, and it's 2 races in a row where it was the 750 horsepower low downforce package. And correct me if I'm wrong, is that the package they're going to be running at Phoenix?
I think that's what they tested earlier on the season, yes. And actually, Joey Logano won that race.
So it seems like maybe Joe Gibbs has decided we're not going to be good everywhere, but we're going to pick and choose where we want to be good, and we want to be good with the package that's going to be ran championship weekend. Maybe
Yes.
They're putting more of their effort there than efforts everywhere.
That might be right, but you got to consider next round is not one of those strong suits for either of them. But yeah, I was going to say what he was going to say is that Gibbs has always been dominant at both of these tracks. Toyota has won. I think I read a stat. Toyota's won like 5 out of the last 6 races at Richmond, something like that. I think I could be wrong on that stat, but either way, I came in and I said this. I marked this track for one of the Gibbs Toyotas, and I was actually surprised that all of them were actually in the hunt there, and almost finished 1, 2, 3, 4. The second team, or would have been the second team to do that this season, which was really cool. But Kurt Busch had an absolutely terrible race, and I can't believe it. I can't believe Kurt Busch came in and he had a strong first race, I believe. But since then, I'm sorry. So he came in with a lot of points, and now he's on the cut line, and I just don't know. I don't know. I don't see them advancing without a win next race. So we'll have to see.
Well, we're going to preview the Bristol race at the end of it, so we'll have to check it out, and everybody can kind of give us their take on this, because yeah, you're right. Kurt Busch he's actually tied with Alex Bowman right now, isn't he?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. But he came in, and I think he was 4th.
Yeah.
Or at least top 5 and total points. Just absolutely terrible. But anyway, I digress. It was a good race to watch. I watched the final couple laps for sure.
So let's talk about this. Our first news story, you kind of segued right into it, Zach. Talk about this JGR versus Hendrick Motorsports rivalry that we've got going on.
Yeah. Give me 2 seconds. Okay. So, yeah, we're kind of seeing a battle of the 2 biggest teams in the Cup Series right now with JGR and Hendrick. Hendrick has kind of been caught on the back foot, coming in with with Larson winning, having the most wins on the season, and as a team they have the most wins on the season. But they have really kind of floundered these past 2 weeks, especially, they've been caught in JGR's shadow. A part of this, I think, has to do with the package that they're running and the tracks that they've been at, more Toyota dominated tracks in Darlington and Richmond. But I think that we could see potentially JGR catching up to Hendrick and potentially potentially winning the championship this season, which is not something that we probably could have guessed at the beginning of the season based off on their speed. So, what do you guys think?
Well, the championship right now, I don't think there's any doubt that this high horsepower, low downforce package favors Joe Gibbs right now. I don't think there's anybody that would argue that. But what I'm going to tell you is they don't hand out the championship in September. They hand it out in November. So I think if we can figure out that Joe Gibbs is ahead right now, certainly the Hendrick Motorsports guys can figure it out too. And they've got, basically all of October, almost all of November. They have got about 10 weeks, or basically maybe 8 weeks, I guess, to get this figured out and get back on par or ahead. So I think they're ahead right now, but I am certainly not counting out Hendrick when it comes time to hand out the big trophy in November.
Yeah, I really do agree. I mean, right now, how many times have we seen probably the most dominant driver from February to like October not compete for the championship? I mean, we saw in 2004, we saw in last year when Kevin Harvick, he won 9 races, wasn't able to compete in Homestead, or sorry, able to compete in Phoenix that year. And so right now, Joe Gibbs has definitely found something in that 750 horsepower that Hendrick just hasn't found yet. That is plainly obvious. And plus, you combine that with Richmond, it's just a combination for who's going to finish, possibly third or fourth. Because Joe Gibbs is either going to take 1 and 2. But right now, sorry, Tom, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I thought you were done. I'm sorry.
But yeah, we'll definitely see as the chase goes on and who's going to get eliminated and who's going to be kind of that surprise guy that either makes it there or doesn't make it there. But yeah, it really does seem like Joe Gibbs has found that magical horseshoe in that 750 horsepower package.
Yeah. But we kind of got right into that because that was actually our first news story, but we skipped F1 and IndyCar. So, Zach, go ahead and take us through the action from F1 and IndyCar for the weekend.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the less interesting one. They're still both interesting, but the less interesting one in the IndyCar race. They were at Portland this weekend. It was a good race. However, right now we have a battle between Alex Palou, Pato O'Ward, Scott Dixon, Joseph Newgarden, and Marcus Ericsson. They're all within about 80 points coming in to this race of the championship. And this was a pretty pivotal race for both Palou and Pato O'Ward, both championship favorites for the season. Whoever started on pole, I thought, and many of the pundits thought that was going to be the pivotal moment in the championship because although there is a lot of room to pass on this track, there is not a lot of differing strategy without significant cautions. So last year we saw very many people blow through the first chicane. There's a long run down to the first chicane. Many people blow through it. And this year it was the same. We saw our championship leader and Scott Dixon, a grizzled veteran in the IndyCar series, both missed the first chicane along with several other people, and which actually gave the lead after they put those guys to the back for blowing through the corner. To Pato O'Ward. And many thought this was going to be his race to lose. And ultimately,
I think we have lost Mr. Zach.
Maybe we did, but maybe this is just a long, dramatic pause, to build up suspense. But ultimately, drum roll, please.
Yeah, I'm thinking Zach is.
You guys got me?
Now we do. Yeah.
There he is.
You're back. Now you're gone.
God, I hate this. Anyway, so Palou actually ended up.
The drama in this show is intense.
The intensity, right? I guess every time I want to talk, it really doesn't want to allow me to speak. Anyway, so actually through strategy, Pelot got the lead back. He was marred back in like 16th position after blowing through the chicane. There was, like I said, there wasn't a lot of passing because a lot of people had to do a lot of fuel saving. But his strategy alone got Pelot up to the lead, and ultimately he won the race. A 52-point swing in Pelot's favor, and coming in, it was 9 points. Pato Award was on top, and Pelot was on bottom. Now it is Pelot on top, and with a 25-point difference. It just shows you how much a bad day could mean. And this could very well mean that they lose the championship here. Moving on to I'm not going to talk about that. Moving on to the Formula One race. This was probably one of the most single-handedly exciting races that I have watched. So I don't know if you guys, I'm talking to you guys now, know how Formula One is structured. Generally speaking, there is like the 6 best cars. You have Mercedes, the factory Mercedes team. You have Red Bull Racing, and you have Ferrari, and those are the six cars. Each team has 2 cars. So everyone else is typically fighting for 7th place ish. Recently, Ferrari's had some struggles and have moved more towards the mid pack, allowing some of the mid pack teams to finish ahead of them most races, but they're still there. So this race at Monza is all about speed. You want the most or the least amount of downforce possible and the biggest and best engine you have. So you want to trim it out as much as possible. McLaren, who I'm a fan of, normally has done pretty well with this. Their setups have been really good at Monza over the past couple years, but obviously they're not at the top level tier. So we go into the race, we go into practice. McLaren is and you have the usual suspects, Mercedes and Red Bull Racing, and the 1, 2, 3 positions in all of practice. Going into and then McLaren is more towards like the 10 to 14 range. So it's actually Bachelor in Paradise, and you can blame Haley for that. So anyway, that was in practice. Going into qualifying, McLaren actually finished an impressive 4th and 5th. 4th and 5th, and they did a sprint qualifying, which means they run a 18 lap mini race that sets the qualifying order for Sunday. So coming into this race, you had Max Verstappen, Bottas, and Hamilton all ahead, all in those fast cars, like I mentioned. Both the McLarens get ahead of Hamilton at the start and challenge the Mercedes and the Red Bull Racing cars. So then you go into the race. Daniel Ricciardo, number 3, who struggled all season. He has while Lando Norris has gotten several podiums, 3rd place finishes. That's the highest that McLaren has gotten this past season, and the past couple seasons is 3rd place in a race. Ricciardo has been nowhere near that. I think his best finish was a 4th place finish, and he only did that once, and his other races were 5th. He gets an amazing jump off the start as he starts 2nd for that race, for the race Sunday, and holds on to the race and wins it. Lando Norris ended up coming home in 2nd, and for their first 1-2 finish on, and this is on pure speed, which you normally don't see a lot. Typically it gets kind of hard to pass at this racetrack just because they're already going as fast as they possibly can. The wings are like this, so when you open up the DRS drag reduction system, there's not a lot of power gained on this track. So this was purely on merit. They did an amazing job. Finished 1-2 for their first 1-2 finish in, I want to say, 170 races. I'm sorry, no, that was their first win in 170 races. Their first 1-2 finish in 220 races since Canada 2010. And I do want to say one statistic. Hold on. It's the 2nd longest interval between wins by a present constructor. And there was a points difference. Hold on. Give me 1 second and then I'm done. They're the first team to finish 1-2 in 2021. So that means out of the faster Mercedes and Red Bull racing. Hold on. Oh yeah. Okay. So McLaren had only scored 7 points in the last 3 Grand Prix since before this race, and they ended up, I think, getting around 60 points total. So pretty amazing. It came out of nowhere. I was jumping for joy when I heard that, and it was amazing. So I just have to get that out there, and then we can move on to the news.
All right. I wish I could comment, but like I said, I can barely spell F1, so I'm not an F1 guy. But great job covering the race, Zach. I think we covered our first news story, but Zach, you want to take us through the rest of them?
Yeah, so Sheldon Creed is going to join the RCR Xfinity program for next season. No number or sponsors or anything like that have been announced, but it is confirmed that Sheldon Creed will be joining the Richard Childress Racing Xfinity program for next season. What are you guys' thoughts on this? Tom?
I think it's the next logical step for him. I think he's done an amazing job in the trucks. I think he's grabbed 3 wins this year. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he was the regular season points champion too. He's done an amazing job in trucks. It seems like it's the next logical step to move up to Xfinity. I question the strength of the RCR Xfinity program, but that was probably the best available opportunity to him. But yeah, I think we'll see what he can do in Xfinity. But I think this is the next logical step, and I think he certainly earned the opportunity. Smollins, what do you have to say?
I really think that Sheldon Creed, this is his time to kind of prove himself in the next level. I mean, obviously he was last year's Truck Series champion, looking to be a strong contender for this year's Truck champion. Right now he won the last 2 or 3 of the 5 races so far. So right now he is striking when the iron is hot. He's on a roll, and really throughout the year he's been very consistent. I mean, winning is great, but really consistency is what makes you into that legend tier. And so I really think that Creed has proven himself to be a great Truck Series driver, and I guess now is a great time to kind of see what he has for the Xfinity level. And so I really think this is a great move for RCR. Like Tom said, their Xfinity program, that's still to be determined in terms of raw performance, but I really think he's a strong enough driver to where he could outrace or outperform the equipment.
Ooh. All right. Well, yeah, I think Sheldon Creed deserves this ride for sure. I think he has proven all that he can in the Truck Series. Personally, I thought he was going to go to the GMS's Cup team next season just because he's a pay driver and would give them, a driver that is relatively new, fresh, and it has familiarity with the team. Obviously not. I think this is the next logical step for him, though. I think this is the best thing for him because he gets Xfinity seat time and potentially a move up to the Cup program sometime soon as well. So I like this, and I think that he can definitely potentially be a challenger for next season as well in the championship. All right, so NASCAR holds a test at Daytona, and it tried some new big swings for the next gen cars. What do you guys think about these big swings, and do you think that they still have a little bit to go? Tom or Aaron, what about you?
I mean, I saw a little bit of the Daytona test, and it did look like the cars were very stable. They looked like they race good. They sound a little wonky, but that's to be expected with a new car. Apparently they did run a much narrower much bigger restrictor plate and cut the
spoiler.
Thank you, brain fart. Spoiled down a little bit, and so really those cars were running at around 510 horsepower, which I could definitely tell and hear. But from what I've seen from the drivers' reactions interviews after that test session, the cars seemed fairly safe, as opposed to some rumors last month that said the cars were not very safe at all. They seem to kind of put that theory to rest. Of course, there were a few little minor things that that they could work on. For one, being the steering input seemed to be a little too high for, I believe that was, either Cole Custer or somebody else in that.
It was Cole Custer.
I believe,
was having trouble adjusting to how quick the steering was. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. But it does seem like anything too major that they can't really fix on the fly. And so I think those rumors of, this car isn't safe or this car isn't really proven is, I think, put to rest.
Tom?
Yeah, I think this is kind of what I expected, and I put a lot of faith in the comments that the drivers are making at the end of it. They came away, they said the car worked well in the draft. They seemed pretty stable. They had some different things with spoilers and how big the spacer was and different things. But it seems to me like now they're talking about fine-tuning it, and they said they were within a mile or two of either what they're running currently or what they expected to be running or something. So it seems like this is kind of what I expected. You got to get some data, you got to do some testing, and then you start fine-tuning it. I felt like they came away from this not feeling like NASCAR needed to make big adjustments to have a raceable car at Daytona in February, but now we just need to make some fine-tuning to get the racing better. The drivers' comments, when I read them, seemed overall to be fairly positive, or at least the things that they had complaints about seemed to be fairly easy fixes. So I was encouraged by it, and this is kind of what I expected as we got more data and more testing under there. But here's the thing that I didn't know, okay? They have a rear view camera. So the mirror is not an actual mirror like a reflective surface. Simoleons had to explain this to me. It's actually a camera, I guess, because the car's set up higher and maybe the spoiler's taller, that they had to do that because you can't actually see anything if you had just a reflective surface there. So I thought that is really cool. I want to see more footage of what this looks like with the camera there instead of the reflective surface. I think that's going to be different. But I don't know if it was Ricky Stenner or somebody else that said they were using that a lot and figuring out how close somebody actually was versus how close it looked. They said, the thing, objects in mirror are closer than they appear or whatever. So
yeah. They showed a little picture of it. You can see it on Denny Hamlin's car. It's a little bubble on the back of the number. I was wondering what that was for, and then obviously I read about the mirror thing. So yeah, really cool. One of the things that I think I noticed about this test, there was a lot more media that became available right afterwards. So we saw the cars running around the track. There was a lot more photos on the track. There was a lot of more shared. So I think that they're getting into like you said, the fine tuning phases of the new next gen car, and are more allowing the public to kind of critique it or at least see it as well. One thing that I did not like was some of the schemes were running the number forwards, and most notably Austin Dillon and Ross Chastain and Joey Logano. And I'm sorry, those just did not look good in compared to the other ones. No, they don't.
They look terrible.
It's going to be an adjustment for sure. I'm not sold on it 100%. But we'll see. And we're just gonna have to deal with it as fans. I think both Byron and Buscher and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. are running the numbers normally, and they looked absolutely amazing on those cars, especially the Ford in general, with the new kind of meaner profile. And it just sucks seeing those other ones like that. But hopefully they come up with a better paint scheme going forward. It is just paint, so hopefully they can adjust for it and make it look a little bit better. So.
I feel like the number going forward should be an option for the teams. If they want to have Ford, they can, but the sponsors don't really want to, then they can leave it the way it is. I feel like it shouldn't be mandatory.
I don't know. If they're going to move, if they're going to move the number, they need it up front like they did. They need to just kind of create a box like IMSA does around their numbers, that's standard on every single car, and make them a little bit smaller. That's all I got to say. The way that I saw it there is just pretty gross, but anyway, I digress. Moving on, the 2022 schedule is out. They just released it, I believe, today, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, just released it about 3 hours ago.
Joey Logano always looks terrible.
Joey Logano is quickly giving Kyle Busch a run for his money as most hated drivers.
Yeah,
But anyway, different. Keep going. Let's keep rolling through the news.
Most importantly, the Clash is being moved on to the Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum February 6th, 2 weeks before the Daytona 500. So they're running the Clash race in a football stadium. That's going to be interesting to see all the logistics behind that. And then also Worldwide Technology Raceway joins the Cup schedule June 5th, Pocono losing its second Cup race. And they changed included a March date for the Circuit of the Americas that they raced out earlier. And then, I think that's about it. If I'm not mistaken, there's just some stuff, races moved around the schedule. But what do you guys think about the schedule? And do you guys agree with the Clash being moved? Tom?
Well, I seem to recall some prognosticator that has great insight and wisdom saying they should get rid of one of the Pocono races. I think that's on video a few months ago. So I applaud them for listening to my great wisdom and advice and cutting Pocono back to one race. So, excuse me while I pat myself on the back there.
Well, don't pat too hard.
But we covered the LA Coliseum last week. They're going to run the old car. I think it helps expand into a huge market in LA. I hope they can create enough hype around it to draw some attention. We kind of covered that last week, but I think it's great that they're going to St. Louis and great that they are cutting back one date at Pocono.
Aaron?
I mean, I agree. I agree with Tom here. I think Pocono, while it did have a very good run this year, I feel like one date is more than enough for Pocono. I do like the inclusion of Worldwide Technology Raceway. It is a fun track. I mean, the trucks have proven this year that it is a fun track to race at, and all that. Of course, Circuit of the Americas little tainted because of the rain. I still like the track though. I think it's a nice way for Texas to kind of feel included back into the NASCAR scene now that Texas Motor Speedway is killed, in my opinion. But I still don't like the LA Coliseum. I mean, from a logistics standpoint, it is a nightmare. For having to go all the way from North Carolina all the way to California for one race that does not matter.
But not everybody has to go.
Right, but
I mean, you're still going to have around 16 drivers, if not more, race the Clash.
Yeah,
which is a little bit.
Yeah, that I don't like. I don't like, J-Dub. I don't like that at all. I hate it. I
Auto
hate
Club was one of my favorite tracks ever to watch.
It is a fun track.
Not only in just NASCAR, but IndyCar race there too, and it was absolutely amazing. You could get 5 wide racing, side by side, all the way through one, still on the back stretch. It was just crazy. And I hate what they're doing to the track. But yeah, like you said.
Okay. So, sorry, go ahead, Zach. I thought you were finished. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that, moving the Clash to Coliseum, it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it goes. They don't have a football team there anymore, so they need something to fill that void. And I'm sorry, NFL team there anymore. They do, I believe, still have a college team there. Pocono, I'm sorry. I'm sorry if I'm going to make you guys mad, but it didn't need a second date. Let's be real there. We can have one significant race there and be satisfied, I think. Doesn't need to be a doubleheader. And I love the fact that Gateway is being added to the Cup Series. We've seen the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series, but mostly the Truck Series have amazing races there. And I really think that that is a good ad for sure. Short track with interesting banking, different types of banking in turn 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. So I think that's going to be a good ad and amazing to hear.
Yeah.
Okay, now I got a question for a couple of our viewers. Adam and Floyd apparently are fairly close to the Pocono track. Now, I have talked to other people who have attended a Pocono race in person, although I haven't. Okay, but the statement I heard from a lot of people who have been to Pocono in person is because of the size of the track, the layout of the track with it being the triangle shape, and just whatever else goes on there. They told me there's not a good seat in the house at Pocono, that there is not any place in the grandstands where you actually get a really good view of the track. Now, I would love to hear what Adam and Floyd have to say if you guys have actually been to the track. I think that's one of the reasons that it's had some poor attendance historically. And maybe the fan attendance is one of the reasons they lost one of the dates. I don't know. But if you guys have actually been to the track and sat in the facility, give me a comment on what you thought about it, and we'll post it up here. Sorry, while we are anxiously awaiting to hear from our viewers, is it time to go to who's hot and who's not?
I believe so. But
did everybody get a chance to chime in on the schedule?
I believe Zach did, you did, but I just want to say one thing, NASCAR, if you want to go back to a Coliseum track, for love of God, go back to Bowman Gray Stadium. Please. Just go back to Bowman Gray. It's closer to home. It's the exact same thing as LA. You're going to get a lot more fan attendance. It just makes more sense logistically, and plus it's in your core audience. It just makes more sense to me, but whatever.
So here is Adam saying he has plenty of times and it kind of stinks, but he loves being around the track. Well, Adam, that's kind of consistent with what I heard. And it's also kind of like it kind of stinks, but just love being around the track. Hey, a bad day at the NASCAR track is still better than a good day at work. So I hear you there, brother. I hear you there.
Amen. Also, J-Dub, I completely agree with you. I am completely against Auto Club, the reconfiguration of it. I'm completely against it. But
yeah, there's J-Dub's comment for everybody to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, who's hot? Who's not?
All right.
Who's starting off?
Zach, go first. Tell us who's hot, who's not.
All right. I'm going to go with the easy picks today. For my who's hot, I'm going to say Joe Gibbs Racing. They've done really well over the past 2 races, winning both and almost completing a 1, 2, 3, 4 at Richmond. Both or all 4 cars have battled back through adversity in various of the races. And I think they're finally hitting their groove as far as wins and potentially what we can see moving forward to the championship races. So I really think that they're hot right now. They're peaking at the right time, and we could see 2 of them in the championship 4 rather than 2 Hendrick cars who we thought were a lock about mid-season. So that is my who's hot for this week, and who's not. I'm going to say Kurt Busch going in, just not great. Having struggles at both racetracks, different incidences, doesn't help either. And, I think this was, it was more of a situational awareness issue this past week that really probably could have been avoided, as we're going to get into a little bit later. But, as a team, you're going into the playoffs, you had a good lead on the field there. I think he was in 4th at one point in the playoff race. But you make those mistakes, and ultimately he's tied with Alex Bowman on the cutoff line, and I don't think that's a good sign, especially with both Bowman and Byron below the cutoff line, I really think they could make the jump. Maybe even Tyler Reddick as well. We have seen him flash as well. So just not really good for him, and I don't see it really getting any better at Bristol next week. That's my who's hot, who's not.
All right, Aaron, let's hear your who's hot, who's not.
All right, so for my who's hot, who's not this week, I'm going to go with who's not the brake rotors. I mean, honestly, one of my favorite parts about going to or watching a Richmond race or watching a Bristol race or Martinsville, just whatever these short track races are, I love watching those brake rotors just get so red hot. You can see them through kind of like all the sunshine and all the bright lights and everything. You can just see those brake rotors glow. And I think while I was watching some of the Cup race, they said that the brake rotors can get like over like 1,000 degrees or something like that, which is insane. And I fully believe it. But yeah, who's hot? Brake rotors this week, going to Richmond where it's a high brake track. You're on them a lot. So I got to go with that. And who is not? I'm going to say Hendrick Motorsports. Really, all besides Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson, Chase Selly kind of throwing there just a little bit. But Alex Bowman and William Byron definitely, they have not been hot the last few races. Of course, Bowman and Byron both wrecking out at Darlington. Of course, racing before that, they haven't really been performing all that well. Kind of been mid-pack. Kind of like mid-pack here and there. Kind of the best thing to do. Maybe squeak out a top 10. That's pretty much it for them. But yeah, those are my who's hot, who's not this week.
Okay. Good choices, I think, from the who's hot, who's not. Before I get to mine, gotta say, J-Dub, going to Talladega. Are you going to be at the infield? Because the infield at Talladega is like a universe unto itself. I have been to Talladega, and let me tell you, if you haven't been there, you cannot fathom how incredibly big that track and that facility is unless you are actually there. So have a blast. Stay safe in the infield because it is a crazy, lawless world in there. But Talladega, yeah, it is a phenomenal place. To give you an idea of when I was there, and this was 100 years ago, but they had one caution the entire day. We were at the exit of pit road, and they had a caution because it was raining in turn 3. Not a drop on us, but raining hard enough in turn 3 that they had to throw the yellow flag. That's how big the place is, that it can be raining that hard in turn 3 and we can be dry as a bone. But yeah, if you are going, enjoy yourself. It may not be the best view. I think Bristol's the best view, but holy cow, is it a great place to go. So, but getting to who's hot, who's not. I am going with, and I think we lost Zach. Either we lost him or I inadvertently booted him. Okay, here we go. We got Zach back. Okay. The 9/11 tributes. Oh my gosh, did NASCAR, I think, do a fantastic job. They had reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance at the Xfinity race. They had a phenomenal invocation at the Xfinity race. They gave all the fans American flags. The pre-race, I thought, was phenomenal. They actually took us back in time to what it was like then. They talked about the decisions they made as far as Indigo racing. They talk about all the issues they had to deal with as far as fan safety. When they went back, they talked about how it was such a huge event for the nation and part of the healing process. We were able to get back together. Thought NASCAR did a tremendous job on the 9/11 tribute. So I'm going to say NASCAR with their 9/11 tributes is who is hot. As far as who is not, I am going with the Wood brothers. And I said last week that I felt like once they didn't make the playoffs, that they were just kind of packing it in for the year and they were done. And they kind of further validated that. I don't think they're putting any effort into the cars they're putting together now. I don't think that they are building any new cars. They're getting ready for their new driver, their next gen cars. And let me give you some examples here. Leading up to the playoffs from New Hampshire to Michigan, because we know Daytona was a restrictor plate and you can go to 1st to 35th with one bad block at the end of the race. But in those 4 races leading up to that, they finished no worse than 11th. They had an average finish of 8.4. They had 3 top 10s. They had 1 top 5. They were a team with a new crew chief that was really gelling and coming together. But when they didn't make the playoffs, they have basically packed it in. 18th and 23rd in the 2 races since the playoffs have started. I feel so bad for Matt D, and I am so disappointed in how this deal has worked out. I think he is a better driver, and I think the crew chief was the problem there, not the driver. But I've said that 100 times. I need to stop saying it. So that is my who's hot and who is not.
Alrighty, guys. Awesome picks for you guys tonight. Let's on the comments. Who's your who's hot, who's not this week? I'm very curious.
I think I saw Byron in there.
Yeah, I saw him in there too. But for now, we will move on to green flag or red flag. I will make 4 to 5 statements. You guys will give it a green flag if you agree or red flag if you disagree. But before we go on to our first question of the night, Tom, I believe you have some audio you want to share for us.
Yeah, give me just a second here to make sure I get this set up right. And I think we got it. Okay, so this is the invocation from the Xfinity race. And if you guys can't hear, because we did some, you'll hear the audio but not see the video. If you guys cannot hear it, give me like a signal like this to stop it or something, and I will kill it and try to redo it. But here is the invocation from the Xfinity race, which leads to our first who's hot, who's not question. Tell me if you guys can hear it.
Here to offer today's invocation, please welcome Anthony Poindexter from Salem Fields Community Church. Heavenly Father, we come to you asking boldly yet humbly to keep our drivers safe, to keep our pit crews safe, and to let us enjoy this day. God, we want to commemorate those who sacrificed themselves on this day, Father God. Let this day not go in vain. And last but not least, boogity, 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 let's go racing! Amen.
All right, so that was the invocation. So Simoleons, go ahead and go ahead and proceed with the green flag, red flag question.
All right, gentlemen, that invocation from the Xfinity race was the best invocation at a NASCAR event this year. Green flag or red flag? Zach, we'll go with you.
I definitely think that was the best invocation all season. I loved it. It's funny because I hadn't even seen it, or I haven't even listened to it until just now. But that definitely takes the cake for sure. Green flag.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Anytime you can get boogity, 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 and amen in the same video clip, I've got to give you a thumbs up.
Yes.
So yeah, I definitely got to go green flag with that one. And Adam Lauer, we got to hear some of your stories sometime. Wow.
Coconut, pass down the field, didn't watch the race. Yep, Adam, you are a true NASCAR fan right there, buddy. That story just we need to hear that story.
Adam, seeing that, part of me says, man, I want to party with you. Part of me says, I'm too old to party with you. I should just sit back and listen to the stories and not partake in it. But we got to, I think I get to think that's not your only story. So we're going to have to hear some of them sometime.
But anyway, that's going to be a green flag for me so far. I mean, who knows? Someone could outdo that, or invocation just gets so botched up that it could take the place. It's just it being so much into the comedy factor. But yeah, so far that's a definite green flag for me. And it looks like from J-Dub, it's also a green flag. From Floyd McRoy, it's also a green flag. And so I think all of us are going to be unanimous on that. But anyway, moving on to question number 2 for the night. Kurt Busch's spotter is more to blame than his crew chief for not letting his driver know that his left rear tire was going down. Green flag for the spotter, red flag for the crew chief. Tom, we'll go with you first.
you know, he rode around there for 3 laps between the driver, the crew chief, and the spotter. How somebody didn't know that there's a tire going down, I have no idea. But I'm going to say red flag, and I'm going to put it more on the crew chief because it was the left side tire. The left side tire, when he's on the front stretch, the crew chief can see that, okay? When he is on the back stretch, the spotter can see it, but the back stretch is a lot farther away, and the spotter's trying to look at it clear across the track. I think there's plenty of blame to go around for everybody here, but I'm going to say it's more on the crew chief.
Yeah, I definitely think that. Well, I was going to say that. I think it's also on the driver, Kurt Busch, but I think it's also on the crew chief. I mean, they also get data that shows you the PSI in every single tire, I believe, as well. So you could definitely check and say, "Hey, this doesn't look right," and then confirmation would be looking at it and saying, "Hey, this," and then they also get direct feed from the race as well. So I don't know. Kurt should know. The crew chief should know. I don't know if the spotter should know, but I feel like everyone should know because that was just absolutely ridiculous and really, really, really costly mistake for them.
Yeah, and I don't know how the driver didn't know. I mean, he should. I would think, especially somebody as experienced as Kurt Busch. You know, it's not like it's the first time he's ever had a tire go down. I don't know how he didn't feel it, but at the same time, I'm going to give Kurt a little bit of the benefit of the doubt that with his experience, evidently it wasn't very obvious because I would think he would know it. It's not like this is his first rodeo. And as you said, they do have the real-time data.
He definitely wants to blow a tire. That's definitely, you know, he wanted to blow a tire, I think. He knew it was wrong.
Yeah.
But I will I'll play devil's advocate here and say that he got the tire under caution and he was going at pace speed. So at the time he may not have known that the tire was going down because all tires are on low pressure anyway. But it was probably one until he got up to full speed that he realized, wait a minute, left rear tire isn't feeling so great. But I'm going to say green flag, that's on the spotter because the spotter, his whole job is to keep his eyes glued to his car and to everyone else's car around him. And so if at any point during those 3 laps he noticed that tire was flat, he should have told Kurt, oh, hey, Kurt, by the way, I don't know how this happened, but your left rear tire is flat. May want to, take it easy, go back in and get some left side tires. And obviously the crew chief should know because he has real time data, so he should probably been more to blame. But if I'm Kurt Busch, I'm going to both of them and giving them both a dope slap, saying what the hell? Why didn't none of you tell me?
Was it a situation like the valve stem, the crew member during the pit stop knocked the valve stem off?
From what I was told, the valve stem was not hit.
I have no clue. But typically, they have all that data. They have all that data that they can go off of.
Yeah. From what I was told from the rebroadcast on YouTube and from what the commentators said, the valve stem was not hit according to the replay from that pit stop. The valve stem wasn't hit, so somehow, some way, it just went flat. So it may have been another one of those Goodyear tire malfunctions.
Okay, Stevie Throop is saying they don't have the real-time tire PSI. He says they have the PSI from the pit gun so they can see if any lugs are loose. Yeah, I was not aware that they had PSI for the tire pressure, so maybe they don't have that. So, but anyway, we could talk about who's to blame for that because I think there's plenty of blame to go around. But let's move on. What do you got next for us, Simoleons?
Alrighty, green flag, red flag number 3. The high horsepower, low downforce package should be the main package used by NASCAR, and it should be used at no less than 50% of the tracks. Green flag or red flag? Zach, we'll start with you.
This is a hard one. I'm partial to the low downforce package. So I definitely think that should be the one that's used. I'm going to say green flag. We have seen some good races with the high horsepower package. I'm sorry. the other package, but overall, I think the high horsepower, low downforce package really should be raced at a lot of these tracks. Give it back to the driver. Definitely green flag.
I'm going to go with the viewers and say green flag as well. I think it challenges the drivers. It challenges the crew chiefs. It makes for great racing. I know if I am a Joe Gibbs Racing or a Joe Gibbs Racing fan, I definitely wanted it at every track because they are dominating that. But I really think it makes the cars a handful and challenges these guys, which I like to see. It forces them to keep up with the track. It forces them to do a lot of things to make the cars handle. I really like it. I green flag all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Green flag. I mean, if this is as close to the package we can get from 2014, I'm all for it because that season was absolutely phenomenal. And plus, more horsepower. How can you say no as a fan to see those cars just flying by you at more speed while being a little bit tough to handle, which really shows off the talent for these drivers instead of just, it seems like any Yahoo can go out and run some laps around here. And so I would definitely say green flag to that. And plus, it's just more fun. I mean, fun puts butts in seats.
Absolutely.
But all right, so moving on to one of the most controversial questions for the night. Here we go. Dale Jr. should limit his Xfinity appearance to early season races and not risk wrecking a playoff bubble driver. Green flag or red flag?
I want this one. Yes.
Right, Tom, we go to you.
Yes. I have strong opinions about this. He's out there knocking the fenders off of Josh Williams' car because he races once a year, and as he even said, I don't know where the edges of the car are anymore. Yes, he needs to stick to the early season races or not race at all. I know he's a huge fan favorite. I know he puts butts in seats, but let me tell you, Josh Williams is out there trying to get into the playoffs. He's trying to satisfy sponsors. He's got a lot of pressure on him, and you got somebody out there who races one race a year, beating his fender off, and then we get to the stage break, and what's Dale Jr. say? Man, I'm sure having fun out there. I don't think the other guys are, but I am. No, if somebody can't control their car and they're knocking the crap out of you, you're not having any fun. And he gets to the stage break, and he tells his spotter to go find the 92 spotter and say, I'm not sure where the edges of the car anymore. You're ruining a race for people who have a lot on the line and have worked hard for it. Go race at an early season race and don't ruin somebody's playoff chances and then say, man, I'm having fun beating and banging with everybody out here. Can you get a little more selfish than that? Come on. So absolutely green flag. Go run in March and stay out of the way when it comes close to the playoffs.
I completely agree. I think this was probably one of the worst things that you could do. I think he had a mentality that he can do whatever he wants because he owns the car and he does a lot for the NASCAR community and everyone loves him. But this is definitely wrong. I don't think that this was fair for any of the playoff drivers. I think they should definitely, and overall in all three series, I think they definitely should take a look at the driver roster and make sure that you don't have absolute idiots driving the cars every single week. Not saying that Dale Jr. fits into one of that category, but obviously he put somebody's playoffs in jeopardy. And there's some questionable drivers in all three series that probably shouldn't be there, but because they have money, they are. So I think there needs to be some regulation as to who they let in, because clearly we've seen several times where there's people who are absolutely stupid, take somebody out or do something that ruins their race. And another example within this race was David Starr, like we mentioned earlier, preventing Josh Williams at a chance to win the stage. And like I said, I think they need to be a little bit more strict on the driver policy.
Yeah, I fully agree with this. And I mean, not to classify Dale Jr. as a complete idiot. He's absolutely not. He is a very accomplished driver in his own right. He's won Daytona 500s. He came close to championships a few times. He's won races, and he knows how to drive. He knows how to race. He is a very, highly spoken of driver in the community. I mean, obviously. But there's times to race, and there's just times to let drivers, let the series regulars take their spot. I mean, how would Dale Jr. feel if those roles were reversed? What if he were trying to fight for a playoff spot, and all of a sudden he gets rubbed and raced by a Yahoo running one race a year and starts banging up into him? There's absolutely no right to be in there in the first place. So I am all for Josh Williams kind of going off on Junior, saying, "What the hell are you doing? No, I'm racing for something. You're not. You're here for lasting giggles. So just go off. You can run your little race, but just don't screw me over because you want to have fun or have quote unquote fun." So yeah, no, I am completely in the green flag for this.
Man, I've had multiple rants. I ranted about David Starr. I ranted about Dale Jr. I try to limit myself to one, but I want to roll today. I am the grumpy old man today.
Hey, they've been right though.
Yeah, well,
not a lot of people are disagreeing.
Yeah, you've had solid arguments.
Yeah, but I like how you incorporated Yahoo into the sentence there. I thought that's a nice way of putting it, for sure.
All right, so we are up to previewing next week's race. So, any takers on what we expect or want to see at Bristol next week?
Matt DiBenedetto win.
I think he had a good run there a few years ago, didn't he? Kind of when he got on the radar of a lot of people with that big run he had there a few years ago when he was with Levine.
Yeah, there was a little bit more open spots available at the time, but we'll see. I don't know. It depends on if the crew chief brings a competent setup. They've been really far off past couple races there, so hopefully they found something. We'll see. If not, it's just going to be another disappointment.
All right, so next up, we got to finish previewing this week's race, but we're going to do a little bit of fan interaction. So get your comments ready. Get ready to type in what questions you have or what topics you want to see us discuss, because fan interaction is coming up next. But I'm going to talk about what I expect to see next week at Bristol, okay? And what I expect to see next week at Bristol is Kyle Busch in victory lane, okay? I'm a big believer in momentum. He had an extremely fast car at Richmond and had a chance to win there, if not for the pit road penalty. We're going to a track where he is really good at. Let me give you Kyle Busch's last 4 Bristol races. A win, a fourth, and a second. So Bristol clearly agrees with him. Keep in mind, last year he got a 4th and a 2nd in what was a down year for Kyle Busch. That was when Kyle Busch was saying, it's still 2020, isn't it? And got a 4th and a 2nd. So I am saying that Kyle Busch is gonna return to victory lane next week at Bristol. That's what I'm expecting to see. Once you get past Kyle Busch, the only other driver that has an average finish in the top 10 over the last 4 races is actually his brother Kurt. The driver that also has a history of top 10 finishes there with an average of 5.5 is actually Clint Boyer, who is going to be watching it at home on TV, I assume. So Bristol's a race where a lot of these guys that are fast have either struggled, got wrecked, got into trouble, something. But Kyle Busch is the one who's been consistently up there. So I am saying Kyle Busch in victory lane this Saturday at Bristol.
All right. I mean, I'm going to be like Floyd down here. A total shit show at Bristol. I mean, look at the last 2 races we've had. We have seen, not like over half of the playoff field be involved in some sort of accident-riddled race or penalty-riddled race. I mean, hell, we saw Truex Jr. get bought for a penalty off the get-go at Richmond. So I think this is going to be a very intense last race for round one. Of course, Bristol is famous for bent sheet metal, hurt feelings, and possibly broken noses because people are throwing punches all around, or throwing helmets if you're Tony Stewart. But yeah, I mean, NASCAR could not pick a better racetrack for the cutoff race, But I really think it's going to be Joe Gibbs once again dominating the field like they usually do. I mean, Joe Gibbs and short track racing, those two go together like bread and wine. So I expect Joe Gibbs to be dominant at it. I mean, of course, Kyle Larson, I think, is going to be up front. But I really think you need to keep your eye on the 200, on the 24 and the 48, as well as basically anybody 4th through 15th in the point series standings, because they're going to be have some desperation moves.
So, man, so this is going to be an interesting race. I always love Bristol. I always like the night race versus the day race. And I think that, this is the right move for a cutoff race, because it just feels right. Short track racing at night, playoff cutoff, everything on the line for some of these teams. One guy that I think I would look for is probably going to be William Byron. He did, if I'm not mistaken, he did pretty well last year. But every other year, he did pretty terrible. I think that just had to do about with the team and getting gelled with the team. I think that they have done better this season, not necessarily in the first 2 playoff races, but I will say that this could be a turning point for him. He has done well at shorter track races, but I think he is going to be the one that this race he either finishes up front or he wrecks out, because I don't think there can be any in between, especially for him where he's at, how far off the playoff cut line he is. And ultimately, it's going to be about what driver makes the less mistakes. So I do think that we probably will see one Hendrick driver get knocked out. Who that is remains to be seen.
Byron has not ran well at Bristol. He got an 8th place last year in one of the races, and then a 38th the other race.
I think he scored stage points in that 7th or 8th place finish, right?
I don't know about the stage points. I just know the finishing order.
Okay, I think he scored stage points, but he's still respectable 8th. I don't know if that's necessarily going to push him where he needs to be, but he did well last season.
It shows he came away with 33 total points last year in the May Bristol race.
Okay,
with an
I don't know how many that is, but regardless, I think we're going to either see him either finish in the top 10, top 5, or he's going to be wrecked out. I don't think there's any in between. And, we more than likely, with what we have going on right now, we're probably going to see one Hendrick driver get knocked out.
At least.
Yes.
Because I really don't think Bowman or Byron is going to advance. I really don't think so. But I think they're going to be the 2 weakest links.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Okay, so we have a comment here, and I think let's take a little takeoff on this. The comment is, and this is for our fan interaction. Will Byron make up the point differential in advance, and then related to that, Bowman versus Kurt, who advances? So let's just kind of roll this all together and talk about who do we think is going to be each of us make a prediction. Who do we think the 4 drivers that are going to be out of the playoffs at the end of the night at Bristol are going to be?
Oh man, hold on. I have to pull up my thing.
Okay. All right. Well, let me, since I brought this up, I'll go first. Okay.
Okay.
Let me say this and give me just a second. Okay, so here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to go different. Right now, you've got below the cut line Alex Bowman, Tyler Reddick, William Byron, and Michael McDowell. Okay. So above the cut line, you've got Kyle Busch +8, Eric Almirola +3, Kurt Busch actually tied with Alex Bowman, but by virtue of whatever the tiebreakers are, it is shown above the cut line. I am saying that Michael McDowell is out, that William Byron with a deficit of 18 points is out. I am saying Tyler Reddick, even though he's only 5 points back, is out. I am saying both Alex Bowman and Kurt Busch advance, and I'm saying Eric Almirola is the one that is out. Eric Almirola is +3 right now, so he may not be the guy on the bubble, but he's not very far above it. He's only +3. Let's look at, how did I lose it? Almirola, Bristol has not been good to him. 37th, 29th, 29th, and he did get a 5th last year in the night race. So you're going to a track that has not been good to him, and it's a very much a down year for Stewart-Haas Racing. So I am saying both Bowman and Kurt Busch leapfrog him, and Eric Almirola is the odd man out, along with William Byron, Michael McDowell, and Tyler Reddick. So that's my who's in, who's out.
Okay, so so I'm looking at some of the statistics right now, and Alex Bowman has not done well. He's finished worse than he started pretty much every single time but one race in his racing career. So no, I don't think that he is going to advance. Tyler Reddick, I think. Okay, I'm just going to give the 4 out. Michael McDowell, I'm going to say, is out. Alex Bowman is out. I'm going to say. I'm going to say Kurt Busch is out and Eric Almirola.
You're saying William Byron is going to make up 18 points?
Maybe not.
William Byron make it? That's a bold prediction.
That is a bold prediction. I'm going to change it because I did not realize he had 18 points down. I just pulled it up. Michael McDowell, William Byron, Alex Bowman, and I'm going to say Eric Almirola are all out.
So you're saying 4. Tyler Reddick jumps up there. Okay.
Yes, based off of his last finish. He finished 4th there last fall. Yeah. And with the year before, he got into an accident, so he was unable to finish. So,
Simoleons, what say you about who's in, who's out after Bristol?
All right, I think I'm going to be unanimous here and say Michael McDowell is going to be out. 38 points. He basically needs to pull off a miracle at Bristol to win. Byron, I don't know. I want to say he's out for right now. Bowman, I think he's out. And then I'm going to say Almirola.
So you're basically agreeing with, well, no, you're not agreeing with me. You're saying Bowman is out?
I'm saying Bowman is out. Reddick is going to be in. Kurt Busch will survive. And then I'm going to say Almirola is going to be the one knocked out because Almirola has gotten pretty much, yeah. Busch and Bristol have been very good in the past. He's running he was running a consistent hot streak until that stupid tire incident happened. Almirola at Bristol has not been a good fit. Reddick has been good at Bristol the last 2 times. He did get a top 5, I believe, the last time he was there, but unfortunately, the second time got caught up in an accident. But yeah, I think Reddick will advance. Bowman, I just don't think he's going to have it. But yeah, Almirola, unfortunately, I will say is out.
I think,
man, we got a bunch of Almirola haters here, and I'm leading the charge.
I'm not hating Almirola. I don't hate. I'm just saying he's got top tier competition behind him that statistically has done well at Bristol.
He's only 3 points behind. We got to remember that the SHR cars have not been the best at any track this season. And he has a bad history. I mean, he has a finish of 5th last season, but his other finishes are 29th, 37th, 31st, 6th, 37th, 22nd. 14th, 34th, 17th, 13th. And out of all of those, 1, 2, 3 were accidents. So no.
Yeah. Okay,
only
so,
three points
so
above.
related. Over under 3 playoff drivers wrecking at the bull ring.
Yes,
I'm taking the over.
I'm taking
I'm
over.
taking the over.
All of it.
I mean, hell, I'll be over. I'll be over 8.
No, I don't think it's gonna be 8. Oh, that's a lot. No way.
It's Bristol. It's gonna happen.
We're gonna see a lot of wrecks. I honestly don't even think that there will be that many. I don't think they're all going to be playoff drivers. I think we're going to see a handful of them also be non-playoff drivers. But I think we might. I mean, these past couple races, there's been a lot of accidents. I mean, last year, not that
well,
many.
The question is playoff drivers. I mean, obviously, we're going to see more than 3 people wreck at Bristol. So it's playoff drivers. Yeah, I'll take the over.
Oh, you're saying 8. So no, I don't think.
I'm saying 8. I'm saying absolutely yes. I mean, hell, do you remember Darlington?
Yeah.
Yes, but this is a different track. I don't think it was.
This is Bristol. Essentially the same track as Darlington.
If there's 8, then that means there's probably going to be a big shakeup in the standings, depending on who wrecks.
It's Bristol. It's gonna happen.
Can I just
Bristol,
say
it's a cutoff track. It's gonna happen.
Does NASCAR know how to create drama or what? The last race of the regular season is a restrictor plate race at Daytona. The last race of the first round is the night race at the Bull Ring, Bristol. NASCAR knows how to create drama. I mean, they know how to do this. They knew what they were doing when they put this together.
Oh yeah. You're damn right they do.
So, all right. I'm going to say one quick thing here, and then we can wrap this up. Gators versus Bama.
No one.
Oh, I don't think it'll be close. I think Bama all the way.
I gotta say, you're just salty because Tennessee lost.
Oh, ouch.
Okay.
I think it's Bama
have fun
all
versus
the way.
Bama Gators. Have fun. Have fun against them.
We will.
Yeah.
All
yeah.
right.
Well, I will be
last year was a good game.
Chair, just kind of laying back. We all lose by 30 and then pound and then say, then everybody in UT will say, we play them every year. Have fun. Welcome to our kind of suffering.
And UT and Florida play the following week, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's make parting comments here, and then we will say goodbye to everybody. Who wants to go first in the parting comments?
I can, sure. I think that this next race is going to be pretty chaotic. I don't know what we'll see with that many people below the cut line, that close to the cut line. I don't know. I think this is a perfect race. I can't wait to see it. I hope Matt gets a good setup, but I can only hope at this point, and then be pissed off for the entire race and eventually shut it off, because that's not very highly unlikely. But yeah, no, it was good to get back with you guys this week and talk about everything. And I appreciate all of our supporters, and I can't wait to see you guys next week.
Simoleons, what you got?
I mean, I can't wait for next week. I mean, is Bristol underneath the lights at a cutoff race? I mean, how could you not get excited? I mean, you're going to see sparks fly. You're going to see rotors glow. You're going to see bent sheet metal, broken dreams, hurt feelings. You're going to see everything. And it's going to be awesome. It's going to be an awesome race to watch.
It's Bristol, baby.
It's Bristol, baby. And so, hell yes, I'm excited. I can't wait for it.
All right, I'm going to stick with the theme that you had, Simoleons. Let me tell you, if you are out there watching this and you are ever thinking about going to a NASCAR race or just saying a NASCAR race is on your bucket list, go to Bristol.
Yes,
I have been to Talladega, I've been to Daytona, I've been to Charlotte, I've been to Martinsville, I've been to North Wilkesboro, I've been to Michigan. I don't even know how many I have been to. There is no better place to watch a race than Bristol. The seating is incredible. The views that you get at the track, the atmosphere, there is no better place to watch a race than Bristol. You ever get a chance to go see a race at Bristol, do not turn it down. If you're going to pick one race in your entire life to go see go to Bristol. And if you're going to pick one, go to the night race.
Absolutely.
It is a phenomenal event. And even if you're not a NASCAR fan, you probably will be coming out of that Bristol race. So that's my advice. You ever get a chance, go to Bristol and take somebody with you who isn't a NASCAR fan, because they'll come out a NASCAR fan.
I got a story about that, but I think we're running out of time here.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, thanks to everybody for tuning in. Great show. We will be back next week at 9:00, and tune in next week because it's the last time that Zach and Aaron are going to be friends, because the week after that is going to be the Florida-Tennessee matchup, and they won't be speaking for like a month.
We need to make a bet
next week.
No,
we need to make a bet.
No.
Put it up there. Put it up there.
No.
All right. With that, I am ending it before Aaron gets backed into a corner.
I will fight my way out, damn it.